Welcome to Nightlight Bible Studies. Think of this as a gentle companion to your own Bible reading. Tonight, we're in Genesis 1. And before we begin, one note about the format. I'm not going to read the chapter word for word. I'll give a simple, faithful walkthrough of what happens, and I'll encourage you to open the text for yourself when you can. Take a slow breath in and let it out. Genesis 1 opens with a claim that sets the tone for everything that follows. In the beginning, God creates. At first, the world is described as unformed and empty, with darkness over the deep waters. It's not a picture of a finished, settled place. It's a picture of a beginning. And over that darkness, God's Spirit is present, hovering. Then God speaks, and the first thing created is light. Light breaks into darkness, and immediately God separates light from darkness, naming them day and night. That detail matters because Genesis is not only describing power, it's describing order. God is not improvising. God is shaping. God is arranging reality so that life can exist in it. Then God creates an expanse, forming what we would call the sky, separating waters from waters. Next, God gathers the waters so that dry land appears. The land and the seas are named. Boundaries form. Distinctions are made. The world becomes more structured, more inhabitable. Then the land produces vegetation, plants and trees, each according to its kind. The chapter repeats a phrase that becomes a steady rhythm. God sees that it is good. That repeated goodness is doing something important. It's teaching us that the created world is not an accident, not a mistake, not something God tolerates. It is intentional. It is evaluated, and it is called good. Next, God places lights in the sky. The greater light for the day, the lesser light for the night, and the stars. These lights are described as marking seasons, days, and years. Time becomes readable. The world is not only made, it is set into rhythms. Days, nights, seasons, and patterns are part of God's design. Then the waters fill with living creatures and the sky fills with birds. Life multiplies across the spaces God has formed. And again, God sees that it is good. God blesses these creatures with fruitfulness and increase. The chapter presents God as generous with life. Then the land fills with animals of every kind. And finally, humanity is created in God's image. That phrase is dense, and it carries a lot of meaning. At the very least, it tells us that human beings are given a unique dignity and a unique calling. Humanity is not just another creature among many. Humanity is entrusted with responsibility. The language of the chapter frames people as caretakers, stewards, representatives who reflect something of God's wise rule into the world. And when God looks at everything together, the chapter says, it is not only good, but very good. That's the storyline. Darkness to light, formlessness to order, emptiness to fullness. A world shaped into a place where life can thrive. Now, one key thing Genesis 1 shows us about God's character is this. God brings order and goodness out of chaos. Genesis begins with darkness and an unformed world, and God moves toward it. The Spirit hovers. God speaks. God separates, God names, God forms, God fills. In other words, God is not distant from disorder. God is not threatened by the unformed places. God works with beginnings. And notice how God works. Not all at once, not in a frantic rush. Creation unfolds in stages, day by day. There is patience in the chapter, and there is evaluation. Again and again, God sees that it is good. That means God's definition of good is not the same as our anxious definition of finished. God calls the work good as it unfolds. That matters because a lot of us live with the pressure to have everything sorted out, to have a clear plan, to feel confident about the future, to be ahead of where we are. And when we don't feel that way, we assume something is wrong with us. Genesis 1 pushes back on that assumption. It shows a God who forms what is unformed, who brings light into darkness, who works patiently, and who calls his work good. If your life feels unclear right now, or if parts of you feel like they are still becoming, Genesis 1 is a reminder that God is not intimidated by that. God works with beginnings. God works with process. God works with people who are still being formed. Now, a few reflection questions. You don't need perfect answers. Just let the questions sit with you. First, what part of your life right now feels unformed? Not necessarily broken, just unclear. Maybe it's your future. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your habits. Maybe it's your confidence. Maybe it's what you're doing with your time or what you want to become. If you could name one area that feels uncertain, what is it? Second, Genesis 1 shows God working in stages. Where have you been demanding instant clarity when what you might need is steady formation? What is one next step you can take instead of trying to force the whole picture? Third, Genesis 1 repeats that God saw that it was good. Where have you trained your mind to notice only what is wrong with you? If you told the truth without being cruel, what would you say about yourself tonight? Fourth, humanity is made in God's image and entrusted with responsibility. What would it look like to treat your life with that kind of dignity? Not pressure, dignity. What is one small way you can practice wise care for your soul, for your relationships, and for your time? Now I'll leave you with quiet space. If you want to pray, you can. If you want to open Genesis 1 and read slowly for yourself, you can. If you want to simply breathe and let your mind slow down, that is enough. Let your shoulders relax. Let your jaw loosen. Let your hands unclench. You don't have to resolve everything tonight. You don't have to carry tomorrow right now. There is time, there is grace, and God is steady. Stay here for a moment in the quiet, and when you're ready, let the day end.